So, I didn't think this was ever going to happen, especially during a pandemic. Welcome to an after theater review. So, I safely went to the movie theater recently with Maja, and we saw the New Mutants as our first pandemic movie, because neither of us have been in the movie theater since all of this madness has occurred, which is a good and bad thing. We are continuing to, of course, keep safe, social distance, wash our hands, wear a mask, etc., etc. We are not about that anti-mask life. We are definitely just wanting this to be over, and we wish other people, at least I can speak for myself, I want people to get with the program, because I'm tired of this. I want things to be back to normal because I am losing my mind. At least more than normal. So anyway, we saw that our local movie theater was open, and they did some renovations, and this had, like, they were working on said renovations, like, before pandemic. So I was kind of, like, excited to see what things were going to look like. And then, since, like, reopening during the pandemic, because it's still going on, guys. Still going on. I was curious how this was going to work. So if you ever come here to this little fantastical island and you want to check out the theater, the renovations look amazing and I like them. It still has that, that new car smell, that new theater smell. I don't know. Or as as Maja so eloquently put, it smells like Corinthian leather. There you go. That's a quote from Maja. Anyway, we went to go see the Mutants, because right now there really aren't too many new movies out. A lot of places are kind of mixing and matching, like, old stuff and new stuff. Also, since the passing of Chadwick Boseman, they've been playing some of his movies as well, such as 42. And they also did, like, a anniversary showing of Inception, which is quite timely because Tenet is out. But for the longest, the only new movie that I know of, at least that was actively being promoted on TV, was Unhinged with Russell Crowe, which is not a movie I'm gonna go see anyway. And a lot of it was older stuff, but for the longest, I kind of, like, put my foot down and was like, I'm not going to the theater. I don't trust these people. I don't. I trust the staff, I trust myself, but these other people that want to go to the movie theaters, kind of iffy. So I read the procedures of how, like, they're doing stuff at the theater here, and some other theaters as well, just in case I wanted to, like, explore elsewhere. I follow said procedures, which they are doing tickets online. I don't know if they're actually doing it in person, but I know you can buy tickets online, and I think they have an app. They have very limited selection on their food menu, which I was very disappointed on because I usually get nachos and an icy. And even just soft drinks, fine. I just really wanted my nachos, but they weren't offering nachos. It was strictly popcorn, fountain drinks, and that is neither here nor there. Let me tell you about the movie. 5 young mutants, just discovering their abilities while held in a secret facility against their will, fight to escape their past sins and save themselves. So, most people know that New Mutants has a not so great track record of being released. It's been pushed back, I think, at least 3 times, maybe more, of being released because of reshoots and then pandemic and whatever else was keeping it back. I've been really excited about it, and then when Disney bought Fox, I was a little nervous, but I was still pretty excited about how this movie was going to go, because it seemed like it was taking more of a horror route than like a traditional superhero route like previous X-Men movies. And I've seen all of the X-Men movies in the theaters, from, the first batch where people got angry with, the Phoenix storyline, Adult Jean Grey, all the way to when people were still upset with the whole Phoenix thing with Jean Grey. Oh boy. Nonetheless, I really wanted to check this out, and Maja wanted to see it too. I don't know if she knew much about it, but we both agreed, yeah, this is a good starter movie to like check out during a pandemic. Very curious how they were going to do this with a new set of characters and a more horror type genre. Especially since they got acquired, like Fox got acquired by Disney, unfortunately, and just so many things have happened. I've only watched like one review for this movie, and I think it was either, maybe I watched two reviews, I'm not sure. I think I watched like Cinema Snob and maybe Chris Stuckman, I'm not sure. But it seemed like their feelings toward it weren't like super overjoyed. Like, they didn't love it, but they also didn't hate it. They were just kind of like, this was okay, and left it at that. Like, I'm sure there was some other stuff. I also, some comment stuck in my head that one of them said was that it kind of reminded them of Glass, which I could see. You have these you have these kids who have these superpowers in a facility, and they're trapped, and they're trying to get out, and they try to use their powers to get out, but there's also a force keeping them there and trying to, unlock or control said powers. So, kind of similar to Glass. I don't think I've actually reviewed Glass yet. I will. It is on my list. I did see it. I've seen it twice, I believe. But I think I can say I kind of liked this a little bit more than Glass. Just a little bit more. Maybe because, I don't know, my expectations were, a little bit higher. I don't know. I think it's because, let's see, the problem people had with Glass, at least one problem, and maybe it's not all people, but some people had this problem, is that with Glass, it kind of stayed in one spot for too long, and it didn't feel like there was any progression. It was just like a repeated cycle of stuff, of not stuff, where it's just like, oh, he's in his room, and it's another personality, and another personality, and then they talk to the doctor, and then it's another personality, or whatever the power may be, or he's still not responding, he's still not responding, he's still not, things like that. At least in this movie, they're actually doing more things. They're not trapped in a room, they're not locked in a room. There's actually some progression, there's actually some character development. We get to learn about these characters, about their past, in a very unique way. I guess, let me jump into the things that I liked about this movie. I like the atmosphere a lot. I enjoy the diversity of the characters. I don't know if it's like that in the comic books, but I do want to check it out at some point. Because we had the main character is Native American, and then we had a Russian character, a character from Kentucky, a character from Brazil, and a character who is Irish. So we have a very international set of characters. And the Doctor, I don't know if she said where she's from, but she is clearly Latina. So I really enjoyed that. The effects were pretty cool. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was very interesting that each character had their own, like, personal trauma that's linked to their power. Some of them embraced their powers, some of them was trying to, like, figure out how to control it, and some of them just wanted it to go away, to hide it because of what happened in the past, or they felt ashamed, and they just, yeah. So, I don't want to get into too much detail of each character and their power, but mainly the main character, pretty much the main character, we are still trying to decipher what her power is throughout the whole movie along with the other characters, so you can't really, like, pinpoint what it is, I guess. I don't know if, like, if people are more knowledgeable with the comic books, knew, like, who she was right off the bat. I don't know. But, because, I mean, I haven't read it yet, but I want to. But I thought all the characters were really interesting. I also, like, there was a moment which was kind of slightly uncomfortable. I had, like, flashbacks of Moonlight where I'm just like, oh god, I totally forgot to tell my mom this was a gay movie. I had a feeling that there was going to be a gay moment in the movie, just by body language, and I was just like, oh, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, this is totally gonna happen, and yeah, it did. But I like that these teens, or, you know, young adults, let's just call them young adults, because in real life they're young adults, they're not teenagers, but these young adults act like young adults, and I appreciate that, because sometimes they act too mature, or they act too immature. There was a good balance. Sure, like, they kind of fall in some stereotypes there, here and there, like, Anya Taylor-Joy's character, she was pegged as kind of like the mean girl, but she was a little more complex than just, she's jealous, she's mean, she likes to bully. There's more to her, because she did include everyone. She was friends with everyone. I mean, there was only, what, like, there was just 5 of them. So, I mean, they have to get along to an extent. I enjoyed the action scenes. I enjoyed the kind of horrific moments. I don't know if I would categorize this as a horror movie. Maybe a subgenre of it, maybe like a thriller sci-fi type thing. But there were some, definitely kind of like some intense moments where it's just like, oh, that was really dark. That was kind of, woo. I don't know how to, like, explain it in, like, actual words. But there were moments that were kind of, like, eerie, that had a very dark atmosphere that just was like, oh, that really sucks. Now I see why you're so hurt, why you're, you know, behaving this way with your powers, because, you know, people think when you have superpowers, you're just like, oh yeah, this is great, but you don't, like, really think about the burden of having superpowers, and that you don't instantly know how to control them. Like, it takes time, it takes practice. But yeah, I really enjoyed the characters in the story, and I thought it was very interesting. Granted, I will say that elements of said story was kind of cliche in parts, which I can't really say which parts, because it will spoil the movie a little bit. But yeah, there were some elements of the narrative that were cliche. Even, like, I guess what defeats the big bad monster at the end, which, I mean, gosh, it's another movie with a big bad monster, but I mean, this big bad monster does not require any henchmen being turned into other creatures or lasers shooting from the sky. It's totally different character. Like this was some other big monster that was different. And I like the analogy, like not the analogy, but like the connection to the main character's like Native American heritage, which is cool. But yes, I will admit that there are some cliches in the narrative, but it didn't really bother me too much. I think the thing that bothered me the most was occasionally the audio was not the greatest with dialogue. I don't know if it was because like my ears are so untrained for the theater. It's just been a really long time. I don't know. There was a moment where I'm just like, oh my gosh, it is way too loud. But when it came to like when they're speaking and they all, well, not all of them. Some of the characters have accents. Anya's, there was, you know, she has a Russian accent, and every now and then when she says stuff, I couldn't understand what she's saying. Or Maisie would say something with her Irish accent, and I couldn't really, like, it would take me, like, I would understand what they're saying, but it would take me an extra moment to gather what they said. And then my mom and Maja would just lean over and be like, what did she say? And I'm like, God, hold on. So I wish, I guess the audio for dialogue was better. But I think really, it's the only thing I had like a huge issue with. I mean, definitely New Mutants isn't as grand, or I feel like it probably won't be as memorable compared to, you know, first X-Men, or First Class, or Days of Future Past, or even Logan. Like, I don't think, or even the worst of the worst for some people, which was X3's Last Stand, or Dark Phoenix. I don't think New Mutants is going to stand out as much among the X-Men movie franchise, which is unfortunate. Because it actually is, I agree, an okay movie. It had lots of potential. I enjoyed it. I love the tone. I love the characters. I low-key want another New Mutants movie. Maybe not low-key. Maybe mid-key. Let's go mid-key. I want another New Mutants movie. I wouldn't mind, you know, learning more about these characters, where they go after everything that's happened. I almost spoiled something. I'm curious what their journey is after things went down at the facility. I want to learn more about some group that they mention on the sly in the movie. I'm just curious. I'm like, give me a little bit more. That'd be great. I doubt that they're gonna make another movie, especially because of that whole Disney Fox merger thing. I highly doubt it's gonna happen. Plus, it probably doesn't have the best of reviews, because when I glanced at, like, when I was reading it on IMDb and even putting my own score, it doesn't have the best of scores. It's like a 5 point something, and I gave it a little bit higher rating than a lot of people. I think I gave it about a 7, because I'm like, oh, this was pretty good. It's definitely not mediocre, which would be like a 5, but it wasn't like the worst, which would be like lower than a 5 in my opinion. I definitely would see it again. I don't regret that I own the movie poster. And I also would like to see more, because it does have a lot of potential. This would be a pretty cool, you know, I don't know if I would want like franchise, like a series of New Mutants movies, but I wouldn't mind, you know, seeing like a second movie and see if they could, you know, improve upon it. And if that, like, the second movie's like even better, then maybe I'll welcome a third New Mutants movie, but I doubt that that's gonna happen. I think I'm in the, I don't know, unpopular opinion about liking this movie. much like Valerians. I wouldn't mind, you know, seeing another Valerians movie, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Or even more unpopular, Vampire Academy. Wouldn't mind seeing another one of those, because I thought it was actually interesting. Yeah, just tell me what you think of New Mutants if you've seen it. If you like this review, please give it a thumbs up. And please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos that I post. I know about half of you or so watch my videos and are not subscribed, and that's just not right. And if you want early access to stuff that I post here on the channel or on my blog and other exclusives and perks, I put all of those on my Patreon, which you can support me there. It is not mandatory, but it does help the channel and blog grow just a little bit more. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time in another video. Peace.